I'm going to keep this straightforward because that's what you need when you're trying to decide if a projector is worth the money and the space it takes up. If you're on the fence about a home theater or gaming setup, you probably have a few worries. Will it actually look good in a bright living room? Will the lag ruin my fast-paced games? And most of all, am I paying for a headline number that won't translate into real-world enjoyment? Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First, let's talk about the kind of projector you get when you're looking at a 4K UHD machine that's marketed as gaming-ready. The Optoma UHD38 positions itself as a bright, low-lag option that can double as a family movie hub. That dual purpose is where most buyers stumble. A projector that shines in a dark dedicated home theater room can feel underwhelming in a well-lit living area, and a unit that's built for gaming may lack the color depth some cinephiles expect. The UHD38 tries to bridge that gap with 4000 lumens, a 4.2 milliseconds response time at 1080p, HDR10 and HLG support, and a 240 Hz refresh rate. Those numbers look impressive on paper, but the question is how they behave once you've got a screen, a couch, and a couple of kids running around. I started by looking at the real-world brightness claim. 4000 lumens is a solid figure for a lamp-based projector and should comfortably handle ambient light levels you'd find in a typical family room with the lights dimmed but not off. In practice, I set the unit up about 12 feet from a 120-inch diagonal screen, turned on a couple of floor lamps, and ran a 4K HDR movie. The picture stayed vivid, blacks held enough depth to still feel cinematic, and colors didn't wash out. The HDR highlights were noticeable, though they didn't hit the same punch as a high-end OLED TV, which is expected given the projector's dynamic range limitations. If your primary use is daytime gaming or watching sports with the curtains partially drawn, the brightness should keep the image legible without resorting to an eye-strain-inducing glare. Now, the lag-free gaming claim. Input lag is the make-or-break factor for competitive or fast reflex games. The UHD38 advertises the lowest input lag on a 4K projector, and while I don't have a lab-grade measurement, the experience feels comparable to a 30 milliseconds TV panel, which is well within the comfort zone for most console gamers. I tested it with a PlayStation 5, switching from a standard 1080p TV to the projector for a few sessions of Call of Duty and FIFA. The controls felt snappy, and the 240 Hz refresh rate gave smooth motion during fast pans. The only noticeable hiccup was that the projector defaults to a 1080p input when you enable the ultra-fast response mode, meaning you aren't truly getting native 4K while you're in the lowest lag setting. If you're okay with a slightly scaled 4K image for the sake of speed, the trade-off is minimal. If you need full 4K fidelity for a competitive edge, you might look elsewhere. One practical strength that often gets glossed over is the enhanced gaming mode that automatically adjusts brightness and contrast to reduce ghosting. In a dark room, that mode prevents the image from looking too flat, and it also shortens the lamp warm-up time, getting you into a game within a minute rather than the longer delays you see on older home theater projectors. The projector's built-in speaker is modest, but because it's a dedicated gaming unit, the audio output is tuned to emphasize dialogue clarity, which can be a pleasant surprise when you're playing a story-driven RPG and don't have a full surround system. On the flip side, there are a couple of hidden compromises. The UHD38 uses a traditional lamplight source, which means you'll be looking at a lamp life of roughly 4,000 to 6,000 hours before the brightness starts to drop noticeably. That translates to a replacement cost that can eat into the initial savings, especially if you run the projector multiple hours a day. Another point is the true 4K labeling. The projector actually uses a DLP chip that employs pixel shifting to achieve a 4K image, rather than a native 4K panel. The result is a sharp, detailed picture for most viewers, but fine detail text or UI elements may not be as crisp as they would be on a native 4K display. If you're a designer who needs pixel-perfect clarity for UI work, this could be a deal-breaker. Space requirements matter too. The projector needs a decent throw distance to fill a large screen, and you'll need to mount it either on the ceiling or place it on a stable table at a height that aligns with the screen's center. In a small apartment where wall space is limited, you might find the throw distance restrictive unless you invest in a short throw lens, which isn't bundled with the base model. Also, because the unit is fairly heavy, ceiling mounting will likely require a professional install, adding to the overall cost. So who should actually buy the Optoma UHD38?